Hello, troopers, and welcome to the 51st Com Chatter. I'm Cubby, and this is Will.
Hello, how are we doing today?
How are we doing? So today we have a fun episode for you. So we thought, obviously leading up to the Acolyte that's going to be coming out soon. Next month, yeah, crazy. We thought we'd talk about the High Republic, because that's the era that this show is going to be in. I didn't know anything about the High Republic, so don't worry, guys, if you don't know a lot. We're not going to be like spoiling too much.
I'm sorry, there's going to be a lot of spoilers here.
Okay, well, you know, there's lots of books and comics and stuff, and you know, if you guys aren't planning on sort of reading them, but you want to know a bit about the High Republic, then this episode's for you.
This is the one.
This is the one where we're just going to give you a bit of a backstory to like
Phase 1,
the start of the High Republic era. The Acolyte is going to be set like the end of the High Republic era, but this is just kind of like to let you guys know a little bit about it, really.
Yeah.
And we found out a bit about it.
We did. And I'm very much looking forward to this episode myself because, as you guys know, I've become a bit of a fan of the High Republic recently. I've lost count of the amount of audiobooks I've listened to, and I'm following an order as well. So I'm coming towards the end of Phase 1. So to put it in a little bit of perspective for you, it's very much like the Star Wars films. Phase 1 is the equivalent of the original trilogy. Phase 2 is the prequels, and Phase 3 is
the
sequels, but like it follows directly on from Phase 1. So it's like Phase 2, Phase 1, Phase 3. But Phase 1 is like the main phase, and I'm looking forward to going over this with you guys.
Yep.
And I just realised this is the first episode in however many months that we aren't actually doing an episode breakdown.
Yeah.
No Bad Batch, no Tales of the Empire,
no Ahsoka.
So we're doing High Republic. Lovely. But we have some news to start us off with, as always.
Yep.
Voila. We have a new Funko.
We do.
Entertainment Earth exclusive.
So this is for you Rebels fans out there. There's Zeb from Rebels, but this is a Mandalorian Funko Pop. So the scene in season 3 of The Mandalorian where he showed up for like a second, you blink, you miss him. They've made a Funko out of him, so that's pretty cool.
Yeah, it looks quite good. He's in his blue wing, blue squad.
New Republic, yeah.
Yeah, I think it looks quite a good figure, especially if you are a Rebels fan. So yeah.
Also, like his one of his eyes is kind of like a little bit squinted, and which looks quite cool.
Oh yeah, I guess it is a little bit different, but no, I like it.
It's like in an expression.
Yeah, no, Entertainment Earth exclusive, but sometimes that does mean that like they will be available on Funko as an exclusive, but you'll get the Funko exclusive instead of the Holo Entertainment Earth, because that's what my Enoch is. My Enoch was an Entertainment Earth exclusive, but you could also get it from Funko. So yeah, that's quite a cool one. We have a Darth Sidious hot toy. This looks quite cool, to be honest, this one.
It does.
The only thing I will say about it is I think his robe looks a bit tacky for like a hot toy figure. But I mean, you got the sort of felt there. So that doesn't look, but this just material here just looks, I think, a little bit, when you look at it from far, a bit tacky.
I've just noticed how gross his nails look as well.
There you go.
Yep. They really pay attention to detail, these Hot
Well, I've
Toys.
even got a better photo for you guys now. So
Very creepy looking Palpatine there.
Yes. It comes with the lightsaber. It comes with like electric
lightning coming out of his hand.
Yeah, and I think there's like 2 different faces as well with like expressions.
Him like smiling all creepily.
Yeah.
like this.
Very cool though. Especially if you have like a Revenge of the Sith collection.
Yeah, and if you have an Anakin, then you can sit them together and have him tell him Darth Plagueis the Wise. Or be like, have Anakin kneeling and he's like, you shall be known as Darth Vader.
Or if you have a little Yoda, you can have them reenacting
my little green friend.
Wow. So moving on, we have another 4-pack of vintage collection figures.
Vintage collection.
This is the Rebels X-Wing pilot set.
Mm-hmm.
So this comes with a Duras. It doesn't come with like a specific characters, does it?
Yeah, like I don't really know any of these characters.
I think they're from,
I don't know what they're from.
Battlefront 2, the campaign. I think because there was a Duras pilot in the X-Wing, and that does look a bit like what's her name?
I think
the woman, the main character.
Iden Versa?
That's it. Looks a bit like Iden, so yeah, quite cool.
I think there is another game. I can't remember what it's called now. Is it like Rogue Squadron or something?
I don't. Rogue Squadron. The original.
Yeah,
game.
No, like the.
You're thinking of Squadrons.
Oh, it might be. Yeah. I don't know if these are from that because I've only seen like the cover and it's got a helmet on there like this.
Yeah, it is a pilot sort of game, but yeah, no, quite cool, especially if you're a bit of a collector.
Yeah.
So we have the Pride collection.
I think this is exclusive to the Disney store. So if you go to a Disney store, either at one of the Disney parks, or I think there's still one open in London as well. This one should be there. It's just to honor Pride Month, which I think is next month.
RN8W. I don't know what the significance with that is, but
no, I'm not sure.
Cute little droid,
but very cute, and it's nice that they're being inclusive of everyone.
Yeah,
very cool.
Definitely, I like that.
Yeah.
We have some Black Series figures.
We do. So this is from Ahsoka. We have Enoch and a Night Trooper. I can see Will being very interested in buying these because he loves Enoch and the Night Troopers. Because, I mean, it started off you loved the Death Troopers novel, which is Legends, but essentially they brought them kind of to live action with these Night Troopers. Yeah, technically
they, apart from Enoch, but they're like the Death Trooper or the Night Troopers.
Yeah,
are basically
they're like zombie stormtroopers.
As close as I'm going to get to the Death Troopers because they are dead zombie soldiers. So it's like,
I think the only difference is these were probably like resurrected by
these
the
are brought back by the Night Sisters, whereas
the ones in the book, it's like a virus, isn't it?
Yeah, it's like a proper zombie.
And there's like a zombie breakout essentially.
Very cool though. I do like this one. Enoch looks good, mind, I will admit. So maybe. Not definite, but maybe.
This one's very cool.
Yes, we didn't show this one
last week. No. So
it's a bit of a weird one in my opinion because it's we have a Yoda and Commander Greer.
Yeah, they're saying it's Commander Gree, but
but
I thought Commander Gree had like silver kind of.
It was he was the one who had the chrome helmet with the green visor. Now, obviously, this might be early Clone Wars edition.
Yeah, it must be.
Because we do see him in the Clone Wars in Phase 1, and his armor is like that.
Oh, okay. Maybe this is before Revenge of the Sith, though.
Absolutely, but it's
funny how like Yoda comes with the chair, like his little Jedi temple chair, and then his face looks so annoyed, and then he's got like a normal Yoda face as well.
I think I'd have the normal head.
But this just looks really funny to me. The annoyed face. And he's got his little walking stick as well. And there's a little mini lightsaber. And then there's a lightsaber with the actual blade
So
with
you can practice him spinning around and chopping off.
Yeah.
Cruise
Very cool, though.
Yeah.
Then we have a Attack of the Clones super battle droid, which we like to call beefy clankers. Because they're just clankers that are beefy. They're massive.
They're beefed up. They are beefed up.
Yep. And he does come with his little wrist rocket blaster thing.
Yeah.
It looks like a lightsaber blade, but it attaches to his wrist. But yeah, very cool.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
Then
we have another Palpatine.
We have a Revenge of the Sith.
But this one is a Black Series Palpatine. Again, comes with the lightning hands and his lightsaber. Yeah, it looks good. It looks like Palpatine.
For a Black Series, I'd say, yeah, this is quite good. I
think the only thing with this one is, like, I don't think you can take his hood off. Like, because it looks like a hard plastic.
Hard plastic.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So I think that's the only thing with this one, you can't sort of take it off. But yeah. It's cool though. Now this one, I don't know if this is just going to be in America.
I hope not.
Yeah, because I really want to try them. But this is Oreos that are Star Wars dark side and light side Oreos. So if you guys don't know what Oreos are, right?
What's wrong with you?
They're so good. They're these little biscuits, or cookies if you're in America. They're like a dark sort of brown, and then they've got like a filling inside. So usually the filling inside is white, but because these are going to be Star Wars light side or dark side Oreos, they're going to be red and blue. So you pick a cookie out of the packet, and if you got a red one, you're dark side. If you got a blue one, you're light side.
I do want to try it, to be fair.
Yeah.
I'm quite curious about it.
I'm wondering if they'll have like a certain flavour to them, or if they'll just be like normal Oreos that have just been coloured.
No, because it says here red or blue cream with Kyber inspired sugar crystals.
Ooh, so I wonder if they're going to have like popping candy or something.
No.
I don't really like popping candy, but you know.
I quite like popping candy. But yeah.
But some Oreos, they have like different designs on. Like I know recently they've done a like Pac-Man.
I think there was a
Batman one, where like the front of the Oreo it looks different, but for these it looks like it's just standard looking Oreo. But it would have been cool if they had like a Darth Vader face or something like that.
They might do.
Yeah.
But
maybe the other side will have something.
Maybe. I hope we can maybe get some of these.
Yeah. I mean, the packaging looks like American packaging, so I'm not sure, but hopefully we'll be able to find them somewhere.
Yes.
So that is it for the news for today.
Yes.
We are getting into the High Republic.
So, the High Republic is basically an era that Star Wars has decided to recently check out. Like, it's an era that were like, you got the Old Republic, and then you have this massive gap between
that and
this and Phantom Menace, and there was such a void there, and there's so much potential for a story. So they decided to focus, or they called this era the High Republic. Now, if I remember right, you said it was 500
to 100 BBY.
Okay.
So I've written it down actually. So to put it into perspective, when the High Republic started, it was 468 years before the Phantom Menace, and then when it ended, so around about the time of the Acolyte, that's 68 years before the Phantom Menace.
Okay.
So even when we're watching the Acolyte, it's still 68 whole years before any of the films.
Yeah.
So a long time.
We do know that some characters are around in this era, and we do see them during the events that we're going to talk about today. Chances of seeing some of these in the Acolyte, don't know. I mean, I think what they want to do is they want to showcase this High Republic era without having to rely on familiar faces and, you know, let it be its own story.
Yeah.
But not gonna lie, I kind of want to see like a Yoda pop up or something.
Yeah.
Even if it isn't like a major scene and he's just around in the temple or something, but it's like, oh, Yoda.
Yeah.
So I would like that.
Yeah, it's nice to see a familiar face. You know, even if it is for one little scene, it ties it all together, really, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Rather than it just being an entirely new thing.
Yeah. So this, if you guys are watching, this is what this was the introduction novel and first bit of media with the High Republic that was created. I think it was 2021. So it's called Light of the Jedi by Charles Soule. I prefer. I'm just one of those people. I prefer to listen to the audiobook versions because I find they're a lot more in depth. Like the characters, when you're listening to the audiobook, have certain accents. When some of the characters in the foreign languages, you know, or the like foreign species, like a Wookiee, you hear the like, you hear Shirwook, and it's a little bit more immersive for me. So, yes, this was, to be honest, this was a really good introduction to the High Republic era.
So essentially, this is like the middle of the High Republic story.
Yes, but it's also probably one of the most important because this introduced us to the Great Disaster, the Starlight Beacon. Also a little bit of backstory. The Jedi in the High Republic. This is the Jedi at their peak.
Yeah.
So they're not. As much as they work with the Republic and the Senate, they have their own lives. Basically, like they're not directly linked with the Senate. It's not like the Senate's like, oh, we're sending some Jedi. It's like they work together, but the Jedi are their own organization and they are the best at their best here.
Yeah, it's like their golden age.
Yeah, and that is also summed up, as you can see here, with their appearances.
Yeah,
the robes are very much gold, white, you know.
Yeah.
Very classy. The Republic looks at the Jedi as they are this incredible organization, and they are a lot different to the Jedi that we see in the prequel era. And that's why I said recently, if I was to be a Jedi, I would want to be a Jedi in the High Republic instead of the prequels.
Yeah, I agree. I think they are the best, and I think it was a very different time. Like there wasn't as many things going on. Like the whole map of the galaxy was a lot shorter. You know, they didn't have access to certain things. The Sith weren't even like heard of.
Yeah. So the galaxy's at peace at this time. There's no war. The Republic is expanding. So it's like you just said, it's not the galaxy that we know in like the prequels and sequels and originals. Like there's planets that haven't been charted yet. The Republic is making their way out to the Outer Rim.
Yeah.
They're trying to, expand. And that is obviously a big part of phase 1.
Yeah. And I think the difference is like they were more so like travelers rather than just sticking to one area. Like the main base was still on Coruscant, but they were like exploring the Outer Rim, and there was various temples like here and there on different planets that were like owned by the Republic, but it's very different.
I wouldn't say owned by the Republic, because it wasn't like it was. They worked with the Republic. It was like they fell under the Republic banner, shall we say?
Yeah.
So it's not like they were. It wasn't like an occupation like like the Empire did in a lot of planets.
No. But yeah, they're very different type of Jedi than what we know.
Yeah. So I have some pictures here of, shall we say, some of the more prominent names that pop up within the sort of Phase 1 story. This isn't everyone, because there's so many different Jedi I can go through, but we're starting off with the ones that you guys should know or recognize. And this is basically what they look like during this era. So here we have Yoda.
Mm-hmm.
Again, as you can see, he's in his white and sort of gold attire.
Yeah.
Quite a nice, obviously he's a lot younger in this, because, he's probably in sort of Phase 1, he's probably about 700 years, maybe a little bit less.
Yeah.
Because obviously,
I mean, he was about 900.
He was 900 in Empire.
Yeah.
Well, Return of the Jedi.
Yeah.
So it's like going back, probably about 700-ish. So a little bit more powerful, and was one of the 3 Grand Masters.
Mm-hmm.
We have Yaddle. Again, all of these are concept arts, but obviously, when you'll see these characters turn up in the comics, and we have Oppo Rancisis. He's the guy he looks a bit different here, but if you see him, he is in the Phantom Menace, I believe.
Oh.
He might also be in Attack of the... No, I think it's just Phantom Menace.
Yeah.
But basically, he from the sort of waist down, he looks like a bit of a snake.
Yeah.
And his hair's sort of put into like a bun. He's obviously a lot older, but here he is here, still on the council. And we also have
this guy.
What was it?
He's a Kaminoan.
Yarel Poof. Well, he's not a Kaminoan. I can't remember his species, but
oh yeah, because he's got like 4 arms.
Yeah, but he
looks very similar.
They are sort of related, I think.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is Yarel Poof. Again, we see him on the council in Phantom Menace.
Yeah.
And he's used a bit in Robot Chicken.
Yes. I thought he was great in that. It's very funny.
But yeah. So those are the like 4 that we know, or that you guys should know already, that are around at this time.
Mm-hmm.
I believe as well, sort of during the time of the Acolyte, Plo Koon is around. So, because apparently they can be like 300 years old or something.
Oh.
So he apparently is around, but doesn't mean he's going to show up.
No.
So here's some of the other sort of important names to keep an eye out for and look up. Avar Kriss, very important. She's the Jedi on the front cover of the Light of the Jedi.
Oh, yeah.
So basically, the first Jedi that we see, High Republic, is Avar Kriss. She is very powerful in the Force.
Yeah.
She calls it the Song of the Force. She has a way that like she can connect with like Jedi all over the galaxy, like see, sensing them and that. Again, very a character I quite like. We have Jura Molly. She was on the Jedi Council, but she basically was taken up an assignment to be the lead Jedi in charge, or the Jedi Marshal in charge of Starlight Beacon.
Yeah.
But then stuff happens.
She looks very similar to Shakti.
She does. Same species.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is Vanestra Rowe. Now, she is going to be an important character because she is definitely confirmed for the Acolyte. So here we see her, she's a lot younger. So in her first appearance, I can't remember the name of the book, but she is 16 and she's just passed her Jedi Knight trial. I believe she is the youngest at the time, the youngest like Jedi Knight, because she's, like I said, she's 16 in this. So it was called A Test of Courage, is what we were introduced to her. But then obviously this is her in the Acolyte. So I like that they've brought in a familiar face from the comics and the books into the Acolyte. So people who have read or listened to the material are like, okay, there's a familiar face, considering this is all still very new territory.
I think she looks very like Barasothi's species.
Yes, I believe she is.
Squares on her head.
Yes. She also has a very unique lightsaber, which we will go into later. So this is Loden Greatstorm. He is a Twi'lek. Again, he's a Jedi that I've found quite cool in the sort of first book. And I believe him and his Padawan, which I will show next, they actually make an appearance in the Young Jedi Adventures.
Oh yeah.
They make an appearance in that. I know Belle does, and I've seen a picture of Loden with him, which I think is quite cool. That the fact that they've brought them into it.
Yeah.
Again, if you guys want to know more about him, please read the stuff because he goes on a bit of a journey. I'll be honest. So this is Loden's Padawan. This is Bel Zeffar. Zettifar, sorry. And here he is with now again, obviously, you know, attachment is forbidden.
Yeah.
But this is sort of Bel's companion.
Yeah. It's like a little dog.
Ember. Actually, like breathes fire and all that.
So it's like a little dragon.
It's like a little dragon dog. Belle has got a little dragon dog, and yeah, there's a bit in like the comic where you're like, bloody hell, Belle. Like, but yeah, so there's those two. We have Buriaga.
Looks very much like Chewbacca.
Yeah, he is very cool. I like Buriaga. A lot of people suspected that the Jedi that we see in the trailer for the Acolyte was going to be Buriaga. But I believe, no, they have confirmed that it isn't Buriaga. Okay. He's got his own name, but hopefully we see Buriaga make an appearance. I think he's got a really cool lightsaber as well, as you can see. I was just
trying to say his lightsaber looks very cool.
We will go on to the lightsabers in a bit because, again, they are very different to the new sort of Jedi. Got Master Skier, Trandoshan Jedi.
This is great because we all know that Trandoshans, they can regrow their limbs. So if you got into a bad battle, someone stole his lightsaber and chopped his arm off, he'd be fine because he'd just regrow his limb.
Yeah, I think it's quite interesting because, of all the Trandoshans that we've seen, apart from maybe Bosk, when we're sort of meant to not like them.
Yeah.
So the fact that they've made a Trandoshan a Jedi for the High Republic is...
Yeah. This is the first ever Jedi we've seen the Trandoshan.
Yeah, I think he's quite cool as well. And as you mentioned, he does lose his arm.
Okay.
In battle.
Spoiler.
But yeah, it's very interesting. I'll go into that in a bit. So this is quite an interesting character. So this is Ty Yorick.
She looks very similar to one of the Jedi that was in Clone Wars.
Yeah, yes, the one.
I can't remember her name, but I remember there being like an arc with her and Ahsoka.
Yeah. So basically, she's not a Jedi. She is a former Jedi Padawan. So she was a Jedi Padawan, but then basically, I haven't read it fully yet. What happened? But I know that you know how when they go to Ilum and they get their Kyber crystal, basically she failed a Jedi task thing, and didn't make it through being a Jedi.
Yeah.
But she has got a purple lightsaber, really cool hilt as well. But she's now a monster hunter for hire.
Okay.
So if you've got like a rancor on your farm,
yeah,
she comes and sort of deals with it. So she's got the Force. I do know the next novel that I'm about to read and get into is called The Rising Storm, and she is on the cover with 2 other Jedi. So I'm not saying she's going to be a Jedi, but she is going to be working with them by the looks of it. So, but yeah, Ty Yorick. So this
lady looks very cool, and I'm intrigued to know more about her.
Yes.
Although her 2 lions are kind of making my eyes go funny because they've got like 2 sets of eyes.
Yeah. So this is Chancellor Lina So.
Yeah.
So obviously during the prequels and that we have Chancellor Valorum.
Yeah.
Who then gets replaced by Chancellor Palpatine. This is Chancellor Lina So. And these are her 2 bodyguard pets.
Yeah.
Her 2 big cats. I can't remember. They do have names, and I can't remember what their species are. But
they look like lions that have 2 sets of eyes and
2 sets
of
tongues. But yeah, this is the person who's in charge of the Republic, and she's also she's not corrupt. She is very pure. Her intentions are always good. She just wants the best for the Republic and wants to expand it with programs and outreaches, and that's why she creates this, or commissions the Starlight Beacon, which we will go into in a bit. So this is Marcion Rowe. He is the leader of the Nihil. I will get into those guys in a bit.
They are pirates.
They're like a criminal organization, but they are like pirates and marauders. But he also goes by the name of the Eye of the Storm, or the Eye of the Nihil.
Because he has like a red light on his face.
I'll go into it. There's a lot more to it. There's so much to go into. So here's an example of what 2 sort of Nihil look like. I believe this one here is Lorna D. So I will go into the Nihil order and that in a bit, but just thought I'd introduce you to the characters. But yeah,
they look quite creepy. Like they have these big kind of helmets on, but they look kind of like gas mask type.
Yes, and there's a reason for that.
As if they've put a bunch of bits of metal together.
That's exactly what the Nihil is. They literally, pirates, marauders, but one
scavenging.
But yeah, but especially before the Great Disaster, especially, they were basically known for not leaving anyone alive to tell. But all the stories were that they always used gas and chemicals, so that's why they've always got basically gas masks on and all that. But yeah, so this is the Nihil. This is the Drengir. Sort of another bit of a villain during the time that we get introduced to, and
he looks kind of like an octopus that's rolled in a bunch of moss and has about 3,000 tentacles and a big mouth with teeth.
Basically, it's like
I'm just trying to describe it for the listeners.
That's a good way to
describe
it. I mean, yeah, it's a very creepy species.
Yeah.
And quite a threat for the Jedi as well. But again, go into that in a bit.
Yeah.
So this
Jedi Survivor.
Thank you for the wonderful name. So this is Dagan Gara.
From the game Jedi Survivor.
Yes. He was a Jedi from the High Republic who found this planet called Tanalor, which was behind this that you could only find through like the Kobo Abyss. And he basically wanted to set up a Jedi temple there and train Jedi there. He was also very very determined as well, and basically the Jedi Council decided to, after sort of the Nihil found Tanalor, they basically scrapped the got rid of the planet and that, and he was not happy and ready to give up on it. Yeah, I'm not going to go into the story for Jedi Survivor, but you get the idea. Again, this is from Jedi Survivor. This is Z. She is a droid from the High Republic era that you find in the game. So
she definitely looks a lot different to like other droids that we've seen.
Yeah, I mean, I think I would say, because when you think how old Hu Yang is, he would have been around in the High Republic as well. So, but you can see that there's a different class. That would be quite cool.
Like if he
like a lot younger
lightsabers for them. That'd be very
cool. So we have here, I'm just going to quickly go over some of the ships. So this is a Jedi Vector. I love this ship. Again, why the Jedi didn't have these in the Clone Wars and the prequels, I don't know. These things are incredible. So basically, they were Jedi starfighters, but they could only be operated by Jedi because they had a lightsaber key. So what would happen is if you were a Jedi, you'd get in your Vector. And again, these things are like so agile and fast and everything. And you would basically put your lightsaber into the controls and then activate your lightsaber, which then would activate the ship's weapon systems and everything. So it's basically a reminder to the Jedi to be like, is this the last case scenario?
Yeah.
And again, such a good feature. You couldn't use it if you didn't have a lightsaber and a Jedi. So very cool.
In the Clone Wars era, like if the Jedi lost their lightsaber, like Anakin did a couple times, or if General Grievous came along and stole your lightsaber, then you won't be able to get back home with any blast fire in your ship. So maybe that's why they stopped doing it.
I'd love to know why, but I will say, I think the Clone Wars would have been very different.
Yeah.
If the ships of this era were around to help the new ships, like the Venators, the Acclimators. If you had a couple of Jedi Vectors flying around,
I hope we get to see these in the Acolyte.
Yes, I think I showed it last week on the poster. Yeah. But you can see a couple of Jedi Vectors on the poster. Yes.
What if we get a Lego set
I'm buying
one of these?
I'm buying it. I want High Republic Lego. For some reason, the picture wouldn't load, but just to give you an idea, this ship behind is a Republic Longbeam. We do see one in the trailer for the Acolyte as well. These are basically like cruisers. They have weapon systems and magnetic clamps and stuff like this. But the vectors can fit inside them and then fly out.
Oh, well, that's cool.
So yes, so this is a very important ship, which I will talk about in a sec. This is the Legacy Run.
Yeah.
So this is the ship that caused the Great Hyperspace Disaster. Again, like I said, I will go into it.
Yeah.
But oh God.
It does look quite cool, the fact that all these containers are like magnetically held onto the side.
You think that after the Great Disaster, you won't be thinking that.
Okay.
So that's that. Here we have the Starlight Beacon. So this again was commissioned by Lina So to basically be an outreach in the Outer Rim. So it has a Jedi temple in it. Like there would be a detachment of Jedi like stationed there. They had scientific research labs. They had culture art exhibitions, domes that you could experience. Basically, a place for the Outer Rim to exchange,
to help anyone that needed assistance,
and to be a light of the Republic in the Outer Rim. Very cool. Very cool.
It does look very cool.
Yes. So this is the Gaze Electric. So this is Martian Rose flagship. Again, I'll go into
Which one's Martian Rose? That
Martian
one,
Rose,
the lion lady.
No, Martian Rose is the leader of the Nihil. The one with the little.
Oh, the pirates.
The pirate
this is
leader.
the bad ship.
Yeah, this is his This is his ship.
So the people with the gas masks type thing.
Yeah.
This is the ship that they.
Yeah. So basically, Phase 1 is determined by a major event, an absolute major critical event called the Great Hyperspace Disaster, also known as the Legacy Run. So the Legacy Run was transporting about 9,000 people from the core worlds to Outer Rim territories, because at the time, because there was so much uncharted in the Outer Rim, people saw it as an area to start a new life, new adventures, new prospects. It was the place everyone wanted to basically go to. So as the Republic was expanding, people wanted to go out to the Outer Rim.
Yeah.
Now, as I mentioned earlier, the hyperspace lanes at the time were not, they weren't like what they were today, because there was still so much that was unexplored. And while the Legacy Run was on its way to the Outer Rim, it came across another ship, like in its path in hyperspace. So it was the Legacy Run was captained by Hedda Cassett, and basically this was also, by the way, this is in 232 BBY.
Okay.
So Phantom Menace, this is 200 years before Phantom Menace.
Yeah.
So it's a big deal. Basically, Hedda saw the ship sort of very last minute, and it was an older ship. It wasn't, so up to date, and it's basically, it had its time, and it was, it was okay, but it needed to be retired, basically. So she's seen this ship. She has basically taken manual control of the ship while in hyperspace.
Yeah.
Managed to get the ship to avoid the other one, but where it's so old and it needed work, the ship has basically tore itself apart in hyperspace. But she basically all those compartments. So if I get the picture back up, so all of the so all of these container bits are different passenger compartments, as well as cargo shipping. So basically she compartmentalized them all, basically trying to save as many people as she could. The ship tore itself apart in hyperspace, but because it was traveling at hyperspace, it just sent all the debris and the different compartments traveling through hyperspace into the outer rim. And these are going along not through hyperspace lanes. These are going through the system, like the main, like the Hetzal system, which is the main sort of tragedy. It hit like moons, destroyed them, took out space stations, satellites. It caused utter chaos. Billions actually died,
Wow.
But basically, the Jedi on the Third Horizon, which was heading to the Starlight Beacon for the commemorative ceremony, were on its way. So they basically headed towards the Hexal system, and a mass evacuation began of the system, where the Jedi all got in their vectors and long beams, and basically were trying to help as best as they could throughout the system. But this hit so many different things, and even in Jedi Survivor, I didn't realize this till recently. The main planet is Kobol. The shattered moon of Kobol is because it got hit by one of these emergents. You think a compartment or a fragment of a ship traveling at hyperspace crashing into a planet, it's just going to destroy it. So absolute disaster. What also didn't help is it turned out that some of the compartments, which the Jedi didn't realize at the start, had passengers in them. So they had to try and save the people in the compartments, as well as the people on the planets that were going to get hit. Crazy.
They messed up.
It was crazy. Again, different era for the Jedi. They were trying to save the people in the compartments as well as the planet, instead of just focusing. They were trying to save everyone, and it even cost some Jedi some lives during this rescue, just because they had to all come together to move this one containment of Tibanna, which was about to hit one of the suns in the Hetzal system. And if it had hit the sun, the whole system would have gone completely.
Wow.
It would have just wiped it all out. So, but the Jedi all came together and actually, using the Force, moved the container or the thing out of the way. It's crazy.
Wow.
That's how powerful the Jedi were.
It's like Starkiller, but in all these Jedi.
Yeah, and they just all came together, connected.
Yep.
And because it was such a job, some of them crashed their vectors, and it's crazy. So we also find out in this era that there is a group called the Nihil, right?
Yeah. So these are the gas mask people.
These are the bad guys.
Yeah.
So
pirates.
They have an order of command.
Yeah.
So at the top, there's 3 Tempest runners, who are the 3 sort of leaders.
Yeah.
And then they have, so they're called a Tempest runner.
Yeah.
And they have sole control of their unit. and then within their unit they have storms, then they have clouds, and then they have strikes. So strike is like a few little, it's like a few people. Then when you get more people, you become a cloud, and then as you sort of get better in that, you become a storm. So, but then the storms are responsible for their clouds, and the clouds are responsible for their strikes. So there is a hierarchy.
Yeah.
And then we have Marcion Rowe. Now, when we are introduced to Marcion, he is just some guy that's called the Eye of the Nihil. Now, basically, he's not the leader at this time. So what his job is, he basically has all these different uncharted paths through hyperspace, which the Republic don't know about and aren't navigated. So they can travel to places and ways that are unknown. So basically, if say there was a planet, and by the way, the Nihil only operated in the outer rim, they weren't like a core, they weren't attacking Coruscant or that, they were all in the outer rim. So they'd been around for a bit, but they were like a sort of pirate marauder group. They weren't a massive threat. So Marcion Rowe's job was basically, he took over the role of the Eye from his dad, who was murdered by one of the Tempest runners. But basically, Marcion had all these paths that he would give the Tempest runners, and they'd be like, "Oh, we need a path to this planet." And then he would right, here's here's how you do it. So what it turns out, on his ship, the Gaze Electric, right? Where is it? There it is. So on his ship, the Gaze Electric, he had a very special sort of engine called a Pathfinder engine. And he had this woman called a Pathfinder called Mari Santeka. Do you recognize that last name?
No.
In The Force Awakens, when Poe is on Jakku, he is meeting Thingy Santeka. He is meeting one of the Santeka clan's future.
That's cool.
Basically, the Santekas are a group from from Naboo.
Yeah.
But basically, they have they're the people that chart hyperspace. So the Santekas basically using Pathfinders, which are people, basically put in these coordinates, travel to the thing, and it's like, well, they got the path. It's a bit confusing, but basically, they've become quite rich with it. And he has this old woman called Mari Santeka, and she doesn't really know that she's being, shall we say, used.
Yeah.
She thinks she's helping out the Republic and that, but it's all for Marcion's game. And then basically, Marcion decides to basically take control of the Nihil and sort of unites them. So you still have the Tempest runners and the storms, clouds, strikes, but Marcion becomes the leader.
So why do they call it? Was it the Circle Eye?
The Eye of the Storm. The eye of, because he's the one that gets the path, so he sees.
Okay, I thought it was something to do with his helmet, because he's got. He always looks like a Cyclops.
It does.
He's just got a red eye in the middle.
Yeah. Well, that's just his helmet, but he is so he's the one that has all the paths that the Tempest runners use, and the storms and clouds and all that. So he's very important, but he's also very intelligent as well. He's, So basically, without sort of, because I could be going on for this episode for so long.
Yeah.
Basically, he sent the ship that the ship that the Legacy One saw in front of it.
Yeah.
Was a Nihil ship sent by Marchion to create this disaster. So Marchion is the reason for the great disaster, the great hyperspace disaster. Yeah, because he sent them on this path, and then basically, and then they become a little bit more active, and they get on the radar of the Jedi and the Republic. So then becomes a sort of conflict between the Republic and the Nihil. There's a lot to go into, but yes. So going on to lightsabers, I'm going to let you talk about this because you thought these were quite cool.
I do think they look really cool, and they're very much like gold compared to the prequels and the original, like any other lightsaber that we've seen.
I always think whenever I look at the High Republic, I always think back to the High Republic lightsabers. Yeah. I always think back to that quote that Obi-Wan says, an elegant weapon for a more civilized age.
Yes.
This is what he was almost referring to, when you look at these weapons and lightsabers,
Yeah.
Gold, white, ornamented.
Yeah. And I feel like, this picture is probably not very good because they're all green and blue, but there was a lot of yellow sabers. There were still purple sabers. But I feel like in all of the Star Wars that we know, like all the films and all the games and stuff, you rarely see a yellow saber. Like we've only seen kind of like Rey,
Temple Guards,
and like high.
I think they call them Jedi Sentinels, but all the Temple Guards had basically
yellow sabers. But a lot of the High Republic members had yellow sabers as well, and obviously all different color sabers symbolize something. So I think the green was like you're very powerful in the Force, and obviously I know Mace Windu, he had a purple one because it was kind of symbolizing like a mix between a blue and a red saber. But
I think it was because he tapped into dark side, but not in a bad way, sort of thing.
Yeah. So it was kind of like an in between, but not too close to the dark side. Anyway, the yellow sabers were symbolized one who understood his place in the galaxy. So obviously whenever they go to Ilum and they choose their crystal, it turns into a color that represents them. Yep. But apparently it's someone who's found their place in the galaxy, so if they're they know what they're doing. So yeah, I think that's quite interesting how there was a lot of yellow. Yep. Also thought I'd just mention, because we touched on the robes and stuff earlier. So I've read that there's 2 different types of robes. So they had mission robes and temple robes. So the really pale gold ones,
gold and white robes.
They'd even wear gold headpieces and stuff. That was their temple robes, and they served a ceremonial purpose basically. And they were really sort of, I don't know, a luxury design, and they were for really formal events they wear them to funerals or grand gatherings knighting ceremonies, Senate functions, milestones.
The commemoration of Starlight Beacon,
Yeah, stuff like that. And then there would be another set of robes, which would be their mission robes. So obviously, because there wasn't as much conflict back then as what there was in the prequel era, they didn't have to wear the mission robes all the time. So the mission robes, they were slightly darker in colour. And obviously as we get more and more towards, so in the Acolyte, because it's sort of getting towards the end of the High Republic, we'll see a lot more of the darker kind of colours. Because eventually, there's more and more conflict as they discovered more beings in the galaxy, and we're slightly getting towards like the darker, more tan, brown kind of colours, rather than the white, gold, like stand out. They were kind of like, if someone was on the street, they needed help, then you could easily spot one of these High Republic Jedi, you knew they were there to help you, kind of thing.
Yeah, and that's why as well, like you were saying with the robes, in the sort of flashback of the High Republic, in the Acolyte, you can see the scene in the temple, and they are sort of all wearing like the whites. But then when you see them sort of at the end, in the present day of the Acolyte, they're more brown, like you said.
Yeah, definitely. Also, the Jedi Order allowed way seekers, which were Jedi that didn't follow the Jedi Council, but instead followed the will of the Force. So not everyone was like on the council,
Yeah. So for the best example of this is if the High Republic era rules and Jedi was still around during the prequels, Qui-Gon Jinn would have been a wayfinder.
Yeah.
Because he more focused on the living force and not the will of the council, because he didn't agree with them. So Qui-Gon would have been considered a wayfinder.
Yeah, I agree.
Just a very different era.
It was. And also, I read today that obviously Bacta is like something that we've always seen in Star Wars, like always, like there's an unlimited supply of it. But obviously back, hundreds and hundreds of years before the Phantom Menace, back in the High Republic,
they just found it.
Yeah, it was like a new discovery, and it was something that was very rare to come across as well. So,
and it was grown. It wasn't just like, it was made. It was like basically farmed almost, So that was quite cool.
So yeah, whenever they would have an injury, then they'd be like, yay, let's use some Bacta. But obviously it was a new thing for them, but we know Bacta so well now, it's in everything.
Yeah. I will say I do like Skier's lightsaber.
Yes.
With the sort of handle, because if you remember, obviously, if you're aware, people that are, like Trandoshan, they don't have like a normal hand.
Yeah.
So that's more suited to him. I personally like this double-bladed one. I think this is very sort of...
It's very Temple Guard.
Yes, gold. And, Avar Chris's is also quite nice. But yeah,
there's lots of like kind of cross guard ones.
Yeah, so this is Stellan Geos.
Yeah.
And you can see again how elegant and special it is, even as a cross guard. I really like it.
I think this looks way better than Kylo Ren's design of a cross guard.
Yes, this is how it's meant to look.
Yeah, I do really like that, and it goes to show like, because there were so many separate species and everyone has a different fighting style, not every hilt is going to work for every Jedi. So it's very similar to like how Count Dooku had a curved saber because of the type of style he used. And I think
definitely.
But these are like lightsabers to the fanciest level. Like, they're just so cool.
Now, I know this isn't the best photo, but this is also, I believe, from the comic. Not the comic, but from the cover of Test of Courage. No, I don't think it's from the cover actually. But anyway,
it's from the book.
It's this is Venestra Rose, Light Whip.
So she is in the Acolyte.
Yes, and we will be seeing this Light Whip apparently. Basically, she has a very, 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 very rare lightsaber where she can activate it and it's a normal lightsaber. but then when she twists the top of the hilt, like the emitter, the light becomes a whip. So, she can be like, like swinging it around, far more dangerous. And again, like I said, it's very, very rare. So we might, I know a lot of people are already like, oh, I don't really like the idea of that. But hey, it's a lightsaber and we're going to see it in the Acolyte apparently. So I want to see it.
Yeah. I think this will be a cool design.
Yes. So yeah, that's really about it. There's so much more we could go on to, and we'll probably do another episode at some point. But the High Republic, man, you got to get into it. Yep. It's incredible. So we do Troopers.
I know barely anything, but I just from this research, I'm definitely interested in this.
Yes, and I can't wait for you to get involved with it, so then you can enjoy it.
Yeah, and understand the Acolyte better.
Yes. So Troopers of the Week. Yes. Mine is Pooper Troopers. Bit of a funny name. They have a bit of a sense of humor when it comes to their sort of videos on like social media. So there's a video of them outside, these two stormtroopers outside sort of Target in America. And one of them is like getting closer to the logo and trying to blast it. And he can't hit it at all because stormtroopers can't hit the target, as you guys know. And he's got like a little P on his back for like just past. Yeah. He's like, oh God. Yep. So I think it's very funny. I like a bit of humor. So
very cool cosplay as well.
Yes, very cool. Yes, showed them the video.
Show them the Pooper Troopers.
As you can see,
but obviously because stormtroopers miss all the time, it's like you can't even shoot the target.
No,
so there you go.
I thought that was very good. So shout out Pooper Troopers.
Great name, Pooper Troopers.
Yes.
So mine is someone I discovered this morning. Actually, I was like, this has to be my Trooper of the Week. It's someone called Aiden Holt 12. He's on Instagram and I believe YouTube as well. But he's made these really cool little animations. I don't know if you can't really see. But they look so cool. It
looks very much like Clone Wars.
It looks so professional. So he's made quite a few different ones. He's done like a Wrecker borrowing Rex's gunship and then painting like a Rex art on the front of it and bringing it back to him. And he's like, look at what I done. And then there's like one where Cody, like Bad Batch Cody, where he's in like the grey kind of armor.
And it's basically him before he defects, really, or goes rogue.
Yeah.
So it's almost like a missing bit. It's like him in his quarters,
and he's just there like holding his helmet, and then he looks at the picture of like him and his brothers back in the not 5.
Rex and Echo and Fires.
When he was 212. And he just starts crying, and I'm like, oh. And then they've also done a Scorch, like
surviving.
Basically, obviously, because we've seen Scorch fall off the balcony at the end of Bad Batch. It's like if Scorch survived, then this is what would happen, and it's just a video of Scorch.
Just like a teaser, isn't it?
And then all of a sudden the light in his helmet comes on, and then he starts moving and trying to get up, and it's like, oh.
Very cool.
There's many others as well, but those are just the ones that I saw, and I thought they deserved a little shout out. So that's Aiden Holt 12 or Aiden Holt Animations.
Go check them out.
Very talented, and I want to know how to animate them. I'd make my own little Clone Wars story.
But yeah,
very cool.
We'll probably see if we can get in touch with that guy because that's very cool.
Very talented.
So, meme of the week. This is quite a fun one. Chancellor Palpatine. There are too many of them. What are we gonna do? I am sending you my new apprentice.
Darth Vader.
He will take care of you.
I'm so glad that Anakin is looking after those younglings. I mean, They may be evil. I may wait. I can't see that.
I mean, maybe an evil Sith Lord, but I'd hate for anything to happen to them. Well,
maybe this was the case all along. Maybe Palpatine was just like, yeah, go take care of those younglings, and then Anakin got the wrong message in his head and started killing them.
Oh no!
But yeah, Padme's like, what? You killed younglings.
I thought that was quite
Very
funny.
Cool.
This week.
Yeah.
But yeah. So that's it for this week.
Yeah.
We hope you enjoyed learning some facts and stuff about the High Republic.
And something a bit different.
Yeah, and I love the High Republic now. I want to talk about it more. I want to do more with it. So any chance that I can to talk about it, you can tell I'm loving it. So yeah, we will see you guys next week.
Yeah.
Yeah,
we'll let you know
times
what it will be about. I'm not sure, but
yes, surprise.
Yeah.
But yeah, we will see you guys next week. May the 4th